All right, guys, so you're going to see if your teacher, who is totally technologically an idiot, can figure out how to do this so that you guys can look some stuff up if you're ever having questions about some things at home. So I'm going to try this, see if it works. You know you have a math test coming up with fractions, so we're going to look at some of the simple things that we learned throughout this unit to see if you remember how to do all of them. So remember, if we have an improper fraction, which is a fraction with a bigger number on the top, in order to make it into a mixed number, we think to ourselves either how many times does 4 go into 23, which is 5 times, and 5 times 4 is 20, 21, 22, 23, with 3 left over, and my denominator stays the same. The other way that we can do this is we can say 4 goes into 23 like this, and we can actually do the math out. And then remember, we start like a clock up here, so we have 5 and 3/4. So either one of those two work to get from an improper fraction into a mixed number. Now, if we're doing the opposite and we're trying to make a mixed number into an improper fraction, that's where we take these two numbers and multiply them, and then we're going to add the numerator. So we have 9 plus 2 more is 11, and my denominator stays the same. So we have an improper fraction from a mixed number for that one. The next thing that we're going to look at is if we have common denominators. Sorry about that 5 there, and we're adding. Remember, we just add these two together, and our denominator stays the same. We add our big numbers together, our whole numbers, but then we have to change this improper fraction into a mixed number, which we just got done doing. 5 goes into 6 one time with 1 left over, and our denominator stays the same. We have to make sure that we put together our two whole numbers, which is 8, and then our fraction is 1/5. So here we're going to do the same thing, except it's a subtraction problem, except these are the ones where we can't take 6 away from 4. There's not enough there. So we borrow 1 whole, which is the same thing as 7/7 because our denominator is 7. So it's the same thing as 7/7. All we have to do is add these two numbers together. That gets us to 11. And then 11 minus 6 is 5. And our denominator stays the same. And then we subtract our whole numbers. And it's already in simplest form. So that's our answer. So these are our nasty ones where we have to find a common denominator. And that's, remember, when we do our count bys for each of our denominators. That's the long way. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I'm only going to go up that high. And then 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, wait a second. There I found my lowest common multiple. So that's my denominator I'm going to use. So I'm going to do 6. 6. I multiplied this by 2, so I need to multiply this by 2. I multiplied this by 3, so I need to multiply this by 3. And then I add, I have 7/6. And once again, we have to take that improper fraction. 6 goes into 7 one time with 1 left over. My denominator stays the same, and turn it into a mixed number. Now remember, we could have done that in a different way where we could have said, oops, if I just list my 3 count bys, and I can say 3, 6, does 2 go into 3? No. Does 2 go into 6? Yep. And then I could do it the exact same way like that and get my same answer. The next thing we're going to look at is comparing fractions, and there's 2 different ways that we can do that. We can either find a common denominator. In this case, I'm just going to multiply these 2 numbers together. So I get 35. I multiplied this by 7. So I get 14/35. I multiplied this by 5, so I get 5/35. And so this is bigger than this, so this is bigger than that. I could have also done it the way where remember we always go up, where I go this way, and I say 5 times 1 is 5, and 7 times 2 is 14. And I know 14 is bigger than 5, so I know 2/5 is bigger than 1/7. The next thing we looked at was probability. And if we were to try to figure out what the probability of rolling a 4 is, and we said, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 spots, so the probability of rolling a 4 is 1 out of 4, that would be incorrect. Remember, we need to, in order to do probability, it has to be equal, so we have to, and I'm going to add it in red, we need to add in, so all of the pieces of the pie are the same color, the same size. And now if we go through and we say, okay, what are the chances of getting a 4? I count my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are a total of 8 pieces, and 1, 2 of them are 4s. I can simplify this down because 2 goes into both of those, and I have 1/4. If I'm trying to find the probability of the chances of rolling a 1, I still have 8 spots, but now this time I have 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 8. And I think to myself, what number will go into both 4 and 8? Which is 4. Hopefully you said that out loud. And if I divide these, I get 1/2, because we always want to be putting everything into simplest form.